So the Pioneers start off tonight a home and home against Brockport. Games 3 and 4 to finish up the series, and they come in down a goaltender. Landsberger, it was confirmed during one of the comment broadcasts recently. I think it was against Belleville. No, it had to have been right after. But in the last couple days, it was confirmed Landsberger is out with an injury. That's why he's been scratched, and why Piros has gotten all the action. Landsberger has what has been called a knee injury. Saw him 2 home games ago with crutches, with the scratches up in the lower bowl for once. And I didn't know if they were his at the time, which is why I didn't say anything, because I was like, I don't want to blow the whistle on something when it may not be as bad as advertised. But he had a knee injury, saw him with crutches. It is unknown if he will make it back by the end of the season at this time. I don't know if that means by NCAA playoffs or that means by conference playoffs. I'm assuming NCAAs, depending on how far they make it. So for now, it looks like Piros is not to lose. And so far, Piros has been doing his job. He's been holding it down in the net between the pipes, and that's fine. I'm glad that he's holding it down while Lanzy's out, because, man, he's been good. I like it. It's coming off 2 games that were a home and home against Nazareth with a 5-4 and 2-1 win, 5-4 at home, 2-1 on the road. So he continues to lock it down between the pipes, and hopefully he can continue that against Brockport. Utica is 9-1 against Brockport in the series. They are on a 2-game win streak, and that is only because of a tie back in 2013-14. Other than that, they haven't lost in this series. The tie came on the road, so tonight they're away, and then tomorrow they are home. I'm going to hopefully be at the home game, because that's going to be an interesting game. And Utica is 6-0 at home, 3-1 on the road, 2-0 in the conference, because the 2 conference games will come this year. And Utica averages 5.1 goals against Brockport. And if you take out the 12-1 game and the 2-2 tie, I think that still hovers around the 5-0, 4-8-ish range. So it's still a 5-0, taking out a high and a low scoring game. And it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight and tomorrow. How does Utica continue to hold up without Lanzy? They've just vaulted into first in the standings because Geneseo lost last weekend to Nazareth. No, that wasn't last weekend. 2 weekends ago. Hold on. It's bad I have to look at dates. Geneseo did face a loss in the conference, which ended up knocking them down. Utica has a 1-point lead after a shootout. I think it is a shootout win. The shootout win at Brockport. That's giving them the extra point, because both teams are 14-2-1, 10-1-1 in the conference. But Utica has an extra point on Geneseo, and then those two are head and shoulders above the rest. Manhattanville has 16 points, Chatham at 13, Nazareth at 11, and Brockport at 5. I think Manhattanville and Chatham are a lot better in their record shows. Nazareth, a lot better in their record shows. Chatham could be one of those teams. I haven't extensively looked over them like Manhattanville and Nazareth. I think Manhattanville and Nazareth are more attuned to a 500 team or better, because they played some very tough opponents. 4 of Nazareth's losses are Utica, and so far 2 of Manhattanville's losses are Utica, plus each have played, one's played like Hobart and a couple other, both have played ranked opponents. Oswego, Geneseo has knocked down most of these teams. So they're more 500 than their record shows. They are not what their record says they are. Just like I think Utica may not necessarily be what their record says they are. They might be slightly worse. But that's a different debate for a different day. So, coming into this game, Utica is number 2 still. Geneseo, obviously, with the loss, bumps down from 3. And, I mean, we'll see what happens tonight because Brockport's led by Flansburgh and Maxwell. Both have 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists for Flansburgh, and 2 goals, 7 assists for Maxwell. And Flansburgh leads the team in goals, which is only 4. And I'm assuming Maxwell is leading his team in assists. Actually, no. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Flansburgh's brother, Schuler Flanswell, leads the team in goals with 5. So, looking over Brockport, of course, I don't have them pulled up. I probably should. Because we saw them early in the season. We didn't really know what they were going to be. They were the second home game of the season in terms of regulation, not counting the 2 exhibition games. We didn't really know what to expect out of Brockport. I mean, those who know college hockey kind of looked at it and said, this is what you can get. But nobody knew for certain what a Brockport coming over into a new conference would do. And looking at them now, since the Utica game, they added 2 losses to Geneseo. They split versus Naz, beat Fredonia, lost to Elmira in OT, split with Chatham, beat Fredonia again, dropped 2 to Manhattanville again, so they are, 0-4 against Manhattanville? Yes, they are. So, ultimately, I think they're going to be a team that's led by their high scorers, but I don't think they have the depth to keep up. And that's the problem, if you don't have the depth to keep up. Looking at their stats quick, speaking of keeping up, do they not? Okay, I want statistics. See, some websites throw me for a very big loop here. Brockport is being outscored by their opponents 62-40, so that's 22 goals in favor of their opponents. And they're not getting outshot by that sort of margin. It's only 592 shots for opponents to 506 for them. So that's 86 shots towards opponents. So it's not a large share as compared to goals. They're allowing 1.2 more goals per game. And about 5 shots per game more to their opponent. So it's all about, they're an okay team. I don't think they're a great team. They're not as good as Manhattanville. They're not as good as Nazareth. So I think Utica, if they play their game, should be fine. Keyword there is should. Brockport does play a disciplined game compared to opponents. They have 15 less penalties for 41 less minutes. And they're not a team that's going to give you a lot of looks on the power play. But Utica is one of those teams that they score on 1 of every 3. They have one of the best power plays in the conference. So you kind of have to worry about that. Like I said, Spencer Flansburgh is their point leader with 10. Their only guy in double digits in any of goals, assists, points. He is their assist leader, tied with Maxwell. And his brother, Schuler Flansburgh, is the goal leader with him right behind, 5 and 4. In terms of goaltending, they've kind of split the bill between 3 different guys in terms of games played. In terms of numbers, Cole Hudson has gotten the large share with Dax Easter and David Fillick both getting enough minutes to match up to him. So it's basically a 1 with a 2A, 2B is what it seems to me. Fillick has a 309 GAA, or goals allowed average, which is the best among the team. Among goalies that have played. Cole Hudson has a 3.86. He's the worst among all 3 goalies. And Dax Easter has a 3.47. Fillick is worse still on the power play, allowing 4 goals in almost half the time of Cole Hudson, who's allowed 5 power play goals. And Dax Easter's only allowed 1 in his 2.41, 52 on the ice. Coming into this game, Phillick is also the only goalie with a above a 900 save percentage with a .907 on 136 saves. Hudson is an 896 on 285, and Easter is an 886 on 109. Now, in 9 appearances, 5 starts, Phillick is 1-3-0. In 10 games, or 8 started, 10 played, Hudson is 2-6-1, which that's where the extra game from Phillick came from that he started. And Easter is 1-2-1 in 4 started, 9 played. So no goalie has a winning record. And among all their goalies, everything matched together, they have a .895 save percentage, 4-11-2 record, no shutouts, and a 3.59 goals allowed average. So they are not necessarily there to be very elite. I'm trying to find words here on that, just to say what I'm thinking. So they're not elite in terms of any goaltending. Nobody's standing on their head like a UNE had like 2 years ago, or like a Milberg, who Utica's seen earlier this season, where it's I'm gonna stand on my head and you got to do everything to get the puck past me. These goalies are struggling a little bit more. So it could be the guys in front of them. It could be them. You never know. But we'll see what happens tonight. Utica should, from my view, Utica should take both games unless they play bad enough where they give up the game. They should not. Will they? I don't know. And we'll see. So, I mean, we'll come back to this in a couple days, see how Utica does, and peace.